Hello, this is the 26O. I'm Dennis Sonar Green here with the season finale wrap-up. We want to thank everybody who has watched, who has shared, who has been a part of this show right here at Spies Fieldhouse for Season 1. We're looking forward to Season 2. If you've got any suggestions about Season 2, who we should interview, what kind of topics we should cover, even a couple places that we should go ahead and leave them down in the comments, or you can always reach us at the 26O on Twitter or X. But let's get right to it. We've compiled a bunch of interviews that we've done across Season 1. Some of them were really, really interesting. Some of them really pulled at our heartstrings. I cannot thank everybody enough for being part of the show, for inviting us to the events that we've gone to, and all of the support that we've had for the 26O. So without further ado, I'll let you get right into the interviews and right into the content that we've put together for Season 1. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you for Season 2.
And yes, this is the 26O. We are live from Maple Creek Middle School, and this is the 7th annual Carroll Youth Football Jamboree. And Dave, we got some ballers with us. It's been a beautiful day, great community event. People have come out, and we've got White Lightning with us right now.
White
Dave.
Lightning.
Let's go, Daniel Waltz. And Daniel, you just got done playing out there in the gridiron. Tell us a little bit about the Jamboree and give us an idea of some plays that you made out there.
So I kept getting kicked, and my dad, right over there,
yes,
he kept saying, use that anger, that what you're getting kicked with, and just go.
Just go and play. And that's what football is all about, right? Channeling your emotions. I see your great dad's over there coaching you. Talk about the emotions of football, but talk about coming out here and be able to play for your dad.
Well, my dad's not the coach. He's just like my dad.
But I'm gonna tell you a little. I'm gonna tell you a little story though. All the dads that are out here, they're not coaching, but yet they're kind of like a coach, you know, because you know what? They come out here and support you.
They want to see you do the best.
Yeah. Who is your coach for White Lightning?
So his name's Nick Carlson.
Okay, Nick. Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick, for all your efforts with the kids. Yeah,
And
great
your
guy.
time.
Yep. What do you like most about playing for White Lightning?
The sportsmanship. It's like really good.
Well, he's right. I just watched him get done. They all lined up, shake hands. You obviously go to school with a lot of them.
Yeah.
So you're friends.
What position you play?
I play on the O-line and the D-line.
That's right. You're a dog playing on the old line, right? You like playing the line? You like getting those blocks? You like the physicality of the game?
Love it.
Love it. You hear that? Not even a hesitation. That's a future dog on Friday Night Lights.
He is so focused right now, man.
That's awesome, man. Now, who's your favorite player for Carroll High School? When you go to the games on Friday nights, is there a guy you really like to kind of watch, or somebody you really enjoy watching playing?
Just everybody, like in general.
You like what about Caden Abs on that? He's going to be awesome on that offensive line this year, playing tackle. That's a big boy. That'd be a fun guy. Do you like that, or do you kind of like Jimmy right there throwing the ball around?
Or Braden laying the wood.
Or Braden laying the wood, huh?
Braden.
Yeah, I had a feeling Braden laid in the wood.
Shouts out to Braden Steely. So, yeah, I tell you what. Well, excitement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jamboree.
First
now,
day.
next Saturday, it's go time, isn't it? It's games, isn't it? How excited are you for the first game next Saturday?
So excited.
So excited. Absolutely. Now, look who else is with us, Dave. Give them your name.
Go ahead, son.
Go ahead.
My name's Brody DeBoard.
Yep, Brody. And Brody,
You're at Maple Creek.
Yep, correct me if
Yeah.
you're playing middle school football for Maple Creek, aren't you, Brody?
Yep.
Yeah. What position?
grade?
What position you play in? What grade?
Linebacker, and I'm in 7th grade.
Oh yeah, you're playing linebacker in 7th grade.
This is your first year there.
Yeah.
Now, Brody, talk about how the Carroll Youth Program kind of got you ready, because now that jump to 7th grade football, that's a big jump. There's always big jumps in the pyramid of football. The jump to 7th grade football is big. Obviously, the jump to freshman year football is big. What's that kind of been like? What have you seen? Because you've done so well with the youth program. What's it like now making that jump to 7th grade, Brody?
I say just making that jump to 7th grade, it's been pretty big. Just
Yeah.
super hard to just play for middle school because it's a lot different.
Yeah, it is.
That's-
You know, and every year the game will get faster. But you know what the beautiful thing is, Brody? It will slow down for you. And you know what?
Yeah.
And 7th grade's tough because, you know, you've got so much more of the conditioning. You have to learn more plays. And that's the beautiful thing about football is just the thinking of it. Now, we could sit here with white lightning and just fire off the ball and smack guys, can't we? But, Brody, also what's exciting with 7th grade is you're learning more about the game. So, you know, talk a little bit about some of the guys you're going to play with over at Maple Creek. You got some buddies you're playing with over there?
Rylan Cameron was actually on this.
Yeah, Rylan. Rylan was just on
broadcast.
earlier. Yeah, so you're going to play with Rylan. That's a great guy to play with.
Yeah. He's a really good quarterback.
Oh, he
yeah.
is the quarterback.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
very well. I'm not surprised. He kind of had that look about him.
Lean
So
look of him.
yeah. Now, how about you, man? Going over to 7th grade with Maple Creek, what are some of the guys you look up to and you go to the games on Friday nights, guys that you kind of would love to kind of model your game after that play for Carroll High School right now?
Well, you know Jorge Valdez.
Oh, Jorge was a dog. Yeah, Jorge's playing for Indiana State. Jorge had the interception, probably the biggest interception in the 26O to save that game last year against Lafayette, Jeff. So you like Jorge, huh?
Yeah, I know his brother. He played for Greyhound over there.
Greyhound, baby. Say it, Greyhound, not White
Hey,
Lightning.
Greyhound.
Actually, you know what's funny is I was told last year that when Braden Steele made a tackle in the game, he jumped up one
Yeah.
high school game and screamed Greyhound, you know. So you gotta love that, man, when the youth just sticks with you. But now you play linebacker. What about Justin Anderson? He's a thumper that plays for Carroll. What about his game? You kind of like watching him play?
Well, I haven't really seen much of him play.
Just wait, man. If you get a chance
yeah,
on Friday
I'll-
nights, if you can, I don't want to get in trouble. If you can on Friday night, I think I lost my mic for a second. So if you can on Friday night, if you can sneak down that sideline and watch Justin Anderson run sideline to sideline and square up and bring his pads, you're gonna love that if
Yeah.
you're playing linebacker.
Hey, that I can already hear like. Sorry, I'm kind of stoned, but
You're all right. Hey,
Thank you.
one
You're
of
good.
my
You're good.
biggest thing is, are you going to start hitting the weight room a little bit this year?
oh, I'm already hitting the weight room.
That's right. You tell him I'm already hitting the weight room. Hey,
Gotta-
bench press. Yeah, do it again. Do it again.
Look at that.
That's a little guns, man. That's a little guns. You know what?
I'm working them.
You know what?
Yeah,
Right now, for
boy.
both you guys, bench press,
Yep.
squats, deadlifts, and power cleans. Those are the 4 lifts that it
Yeah.
takes to get to that. So that's exciting. And last question for both of you. I want you guys to look in the camera and White Lightning, Daniel, I'll let you go first. Look in that camera. What does it mean to you to come out here and play for Carroll Youth Football?
So it's like I don't really know how to explain it. It just like makes me so happy playing football.
Yes.
You can tell.
That's it. You
You
know
can
what?
tell.
That's beautiful. You just said it all. And how about you? Playing for Maple Creek Middle School. What's it mean to play in the Carroll Youth Program, but now you're playing for the great Maple Creek Middle School program?
Hey, Maple Creek. I've just been waiting years and years just to play for middle school. It's been so long, and I'm already getting getting to play for him. I'm already ready to hit a big guy, just like any big guy.
great.
Lay him out.
Woo, I love
boy.
it, man. That's great. There you go, man. Greyhounds and White Lightning, Dave. Another great group of interviews, man. Well, congratulations, guys. And you know what? Good luck with the football. You know, we're all proud of you, and it's awesome you can play in this great program out here. Come on in, Ben. Ben, come on over here. I want to come join us, man. You know, I think that's brilliant because you know what? Ben, have a seat. I'm gonna give you the headset.
So,
I think that's
so.
brilliant.
Just a little bit of background.
Why don't you introduce Ben a little bit, everybody?
On Coach Ben Nyman over there. Coach Ben, I think it's over 20 years part of this league. So when you ask questions about,
so you date back to Hap
teams,
so you're the OG. You're the OG.
He's the one you want.
I am the OG.
Get a little closer to that mic, Ben. There you go.
We're going to make you a shirt, OG.
I'm sorry. Try it now, Ben. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
So I graduated from Carroll in 02.
Yeah.
So I was out about a year and had to get my football fixed somehow.
Ben, that's great.
And got involved with the league back when it was HAP. And HAP actually started in 1997.
Did it really? Wow. See,
And-
Dave, now we're getting – this is good. We're getting
You're
some
getting
history.
the history now.
So, Ben, I was asking
I'm the
yesterday,
league historian, yeah.
I was asking Brian yesterday about the Pelks.
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
he doesn't know 'em.
No.
And I'm like, I know they played in this league.
Well, the Pelkingtons, there's some cousins and stuff like that. So
they live right there.
Yeah. So there were some Pelkingtons that played for the Greyhounds.
Yeah.
Quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
But you know how those first names get lost over the years.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. That's why they're all Pelks.
But that's why they're all Pelks. So and they were good players for us.
Yes, they were.
So Ben, can you answer that question on how the names came to be in the league?
It was just basically you got to pick it. Whoever was starting that team for the first time got to pick their name.
I love the Greyhounds, man.
It was supposed to be just Greyhounds, but then it was like Gray Greyhounds. So I feel like that's a little bit redundant. But we are the Gray Greyhounds, and again, it was just something. Well, we're wearing gray jerseys. It just makes sense that we're the Greyhounds, So that's how that came about. But yeah, each team got to pick their own name.
I think it's so important to the relationships that you guys are making with the kids and over the years. And I'm going to be honest, and I want you to correct me now. When I played back in the Summit Athletic Conference, and we used to play some of the teams out in the county, we always kind of thought you guys were a little soft at times.
Not
and
anymore.
when Homestead and Carroll came into the Summit Athletic Conference, there was a lot of talk like, I wonder how they'll do. Are they going to be able to step up the physicality? Woo! I tell you what, boy, the last 3, 4, 5 years, Carroll is the physical team, man. And I tell you what, the work out here,
It comes from here.
the work that it begins here, the love of the game, the feeder program to the middle schools. I can't say enough of the true community and the program that Carroll has now for you guys.
Absolutely. Well, having a state run like we had last year, getting down to that game.
And what'd that mean to you, Ben? I mean, we all walked in from the 2-6-0, and we were all kind of chanting. We were excited to have a 6A team breakthrough. But for you, man, what does that mean to walk in, man,
for
and
me,
some of the kids you had?
Well, for me personally, because I'm homegrown Carroll, I played at Carroll.
Yeah.
I bleed Carroll blue. And it meant a lot to me. And, some of my other coaches, another coach who we actually played ball together in high school. So to watch the success happen and then to know that, I feel really proud of the guys because a lot of those guys out there running around making plays played for me in this league.
I know. That's what I was telling you. I mean,
It's got to be special for
it
you,
is
man.
very special.
I would have been in the stands barking, man.
So I was.
I bet you were.
And
Did you cry when you walked in there?
a little bit.
I bet
Wow,
you
there
that's
was
beautiful.
there was a feeling in my throat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chokes you up.
Chokes you up.
what it's all
Like this
about.
is just so I dreamed of playing on that field, never
Yeah.
got to.
Sure.
We've been so close going to regional year after year,
Yeah.
getting knocked out by Carmel,
Yeah.
getting knocked out by this team, Penn.
Yeah.
And it was just nice to be really relevant and be like, I think we have a program here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
do.
you had Paula Steele on earlier.
Yeah.
and,
She was fantastic.
And we developed that mantra that once a greyhound, always a greyhound. And
that's awesome.
And the fact of the matter is, I don't care if they're greyhounds, Red Bulls, Orange Crush. We're all
Carroll.
We're all trying to be Carroll Chargers here.
Right.
And I think as long as our league and everybody involved with it treats each of the kids in this league and regardless of color with that kind of respect,
Yeah.
it's just going to
I
continue to
tell
grow
you,
here and be
Dinan
beautiful.
ought to be very, very thankful. He really should be.
I'd be sending you guys flowers every
day.
I mean, what do you like, man? What flowers or
Case
or
of
what,
beer.
or a
Football coaches
case of
don't really
beer
like
or,
flowers,
or,
do
or a box of barbecue or what do you want? I mean, what's that, Sonar? Yeah, Sonar says
wings
brisket.
up.
That would do it.
But,
Brisket, but
Chicken
I mean,
wings.
What's your? Are you guys close? You and Dinan? You talk?
It's so Coach Dinan this is his season, right? They're in season right now, so it's hard for them to be out here.
I'm talking in the winter. Does he
yeah,
come
I mean-
out and do camps with you?
They do a camp.
They do a camp at the high school with the little kids.
Sure.
And they have a spring like flag football league they do. But
Are we on a first name basis? No.
Yeah. You know what'd be cool though is if he had if they had, and maybe this is a little bit of an idea for somebody with the Carroll High School. You know what I would do if I was the head coach? I would build a beautiful box that my high school players, when they come out the locker room and go out in the field, I would have some type of box built, Dave, where I would have a Greyhound helmet.
Yeah.
I would have an Orange Crush helmet.
Yeah, great idea.
I would have a White Lightning helmet. I'd have a Maple Creek Middle School helmet. I'd have a Carroll Middle School helmet. So when my guys come out of the locker room or I say my final words, I say, look, you know what? We're playing Hamilton Southeastern tonight. I chose you. This is our community. Now, when you leave the locker room, you look up at those helmets in that box up there.
Remember.
Greyhound, you remember. White Lightning, you remember. Orange Crush, you remember. You remember where it all began. And now we are all Chargers.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the 260. I'm Joe Walbert. I'm joined by the man they call the mayor of the 260, Dave Rickard, and we've got some big news in the
Been waiting to tell this news, Joe.
We've been sitting on this news, and we're so excited. Pickleball news, baby. Let's get after it. And we're so excited to have TK Herman and Scott Howard here. And, man, big pickleball deal, big deal involving
10-year
Spieth.
deal.
And I tell you what, guys, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you.
I tell you, I'm so excited about Ace Pickleball Club coming into town, and I was telling Denise Claxton, I've got such an education this spring on pickleball. I'm an old football guy, so all of a sudden I had to learn about pickleball, and it's just exciting. We've got Abby and Matt Brandenberger coming up next too, so just an exciting time, guys, with all the pickleball. But tell us about this deal, man. What a big deal.
Yeah, we're super excited about the opportunity here to bring Ace Pickleball Club to Fort Indiana.
Yes.
You know, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the country. It has been for a little while. And, you know, the majority of people play the sport outdoors. And there are challenges with that. Number one, 70% of the country cannot play outdoors 60% of the year. And even when you can play outdoors, you're at the mercy of the wind, the rain, and the heat. And so you'll actually start seeing the professional pickleball tournaments are going to be starting to go indoors over the next year as well, because they've realized that there are challenges with playing outside. So could not be happier to bring this to Spieth.
Yes.
Glad it's coming to the fort first.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. In fact, you know, we actually Scott and I have been to 14 different markets over the last 6 weeks, looking for buildings. Wow. It's very, very difficult to find a space that will house something like this, and we couldn't be more fortunate to have found Spieth and you know, partner with the owner of Spieth to bring this here to Fort Wayne.
Well, this is show number 18, Joe, and this is the first time we have not heard basketballs.
We're gonna
horns.
It's gonna be all about pickleball,
Yeah.
man. We gotta get that renewal done, and we gotta hear pickleball, man. And Scott Howard, I mean, talk to us. How'd you get involved in this, and how'd you come across pickleball?
Yeah, sure. So TK and I actually worked together in our past lives. He owned a software development company called Aptera.
Yes.
We were downtown. I started off as just a normal individual contributor, needed to generate some sales, and eventually became his director of sales. Helped build the book of business, brought it to a point where he could sell it. And then because of sort of the success I had at Aptera, I made out decently well with the company that bought his company. So in exchange, if I wasn't going to work for their company, I had to sign a non-compete and not work for a year. And at first that was hard because I did try to work, and essentially my attorneys looked at my non-compete and just said, best thing you can do is just actually take the vacation unless you're going to go into another industry.
Okay, so here are you two guys. You guys are hard-nosed business guys, okay? So I want to hear about the conversation, because you guys have had success in different industries. You're business people. What was that call like when you guys talked and you're like, I think we can do pickleball, okay? I mean, take me through that. How do guys who are successful in business like TK and you, Scott, all of a sudden you guys are going to get together and we're going to put capital into pickleball?
Well, we should back up a minute and tell the pickleball story with Scott, and I'll tell it and you can fill in the gaps. Sure. I think it's fun. So I live out in the country and have a pickleball court at my house. And last summer decided to have a few guys that I used to work with come over and play. And Scott is a former college athlete, and
What did you play, Scott?
Basketball.
Really? Where at?
So I walked on at Southern Indiana.
Really?
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, good
So
program.
So you played basketball at Homestead and then went there?
I actually didn't play. So I played my first 2 years and ended up having not the greatest attitude. Wish I could take it probably all back. And so did not actually play those last 2 years. Played 2 years at AAU basketball at the end.
So you
coach
played here.
Hardis, who was the
You actually
assistant
played
coach.
in this building?
No, I'm older than this building.
Okay.
I graduated in
You look young.
'99. This building, I think, started to take off in AAU basketball. The places I played for, like, AAU was, like, literally the YWCA was, like, a spot that we played
Interesting.
with through the Walter Jordan League.
Yeah, we had Walt on.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, we had
Nard
on.
Hollins' dad did a lot of
Oh, yeah.
work
That's great.
in that
Great
time. So I
names.
played a couple teams that he put together. But he was a kind of a sort of a mentor and vouch for me in a lot of ways. And so he kind of gave me that shot down south. And quite frankly, I didn't really follow through, if I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't have the work, or there's a lot to it, but at the end of the day, to be a college athlete, you got to actually really, really, really want to play. And I think at that point in my life, I had decided
I'm ready to move on and
Exactly.
chase some other endeavors, huh, TK?
Regardless, though, Scott is, and I've worked with Scott for quite some time. He was a member of our sales team for a long time, and then our director of sales. And he is, I call him hyper competitive.
Yes.
And so he comes over and had never played pickleball until last summer, and starts playing. And I jokingly say that he decided, I think on the first day, that he was going to become a professional pickleball player because he starts going to tournaments. I'm like, man, you're taking this seriously. Like, we're just kind of hanging out, having fun with some old friends. And he ends up in a tournament in Las Vegas in December of this past year. Yeah.
Wow.
And he's texting me pictures of I think it was Mandalay Bay. They turned the conference center into pickleball courts.
Really, at the Mandalay Bay?
Yeah. And
I used to go to IRS seminars in there, man. You know what I mean? Now you've got
Sounds a
pickleball,
little more
man.
fun than yours.
Pickleball's much better.
Yeah, and so he's texting me pictures saying, we need this in Fort and this would be amazing. And I'm like, that's an interesting idea. And I was kind of looking for the next thing.
Because you was Sky Zone.
Well, I owned, I co-founded and was the co-owner of Aptera, which is a software company here in town.
You did well with that.
We sold that in 2021. I also was the co-founder and co-owner of Sky Zone. We actually owned 3 Sky Zones, Fort Wayne, Toledo, and Mishawaka. And we sold those also in 2021. So I was business-less, if you will.
Right, but this has gone right into your realm.
Yeah. And I think, and also I've been an entrepreneur. I'm 51. I've been an entrepreneur since I was at the age of 26, I think. And so, I was looking for the kind of what's the next thing. And I just, after he threw out the idea, I'm like, that's interesting. And we talked about doing something together. We've become good friends over the years. And let it sort of marinate in my head for a couple of months. And then I'm driving down the road one day and I'm like, I wonder if there's a franchise, for this. And in fact, I actually thought to myself, I wonder if the guy who started Sky Zone, who I've become good friends with, is into this, because it's kind of up his alley, and he'd sold Sky Zone. And I went home that day and I Googled pickleball franchise. And the first thing that popped up was Ace Pickleball Club. And they had this is like first week of February, they had just announced the week before that they were going to franchise. And it was the first brand to announce any kind of a franchise around indoor pickleball. Wow. And so I started reading the article, and son of a gun, if you wouldn't believe it, but there were 2 Sky Zone executives that
on the board.
That came up with the concept, came up with the idea. And I'm like, you got to be kidding.
You got to be kidding.
Yeah, I know these guys.
Yeah.
And so I had their cell phone numbers and just reached out and said, what are you guys doing? And that's sort of kicked off the conversation with Scott and me and them. And then, we kind of went to them and said, look, if we do this, we don't want to do just 1 or 2. We want to do 10. We want to make this a big thing. and we were the second entity, if you will, to sign the franchise agreement. We're the first one to have a building leased, and Spice is the first building that's leased under the pickleball brand.
Fantastic, brother.
Yeah, and so
260, baby.
Yep.
yeah, and so our short-term goal is to have 5 locations open in the Midwest by the end of the first quarter, and our ultimate goal is to have 10.
Wow. Joe, as usual, we're number one in starting things.
But
I'll
tell you what's unique about Spice is this is about double the size of what Ace wants for a facility. So this is 66,000 square feet that we've leased. And at first, Ace was a little gun shy about having somebody commit to that big of a park. And we said, you don't understand. Spice is iconic.
Yes.
Spice was obviously, back in the day with youth basketball, was the focal point of youth basketball, certainly in the Midwest.
Right.
And that luster's kind of worn out a little bit over the last
has.
few years.
It
And
has.
so we looked at this as a massive opportunity for us to bring that feeling back to Fort Wayne, but through pickleball. And the great thing about Spice is, for the Fort Wayne community, it's centrally located, right? So rather than having 2 facilities, we can have one large one. Secondly, for us to be able to bring in large tournaments and make it really a regional draw, the infrastructure is already here. Hotels, all that.
This is what I've been telling Joe. The economic impact that this is going to have for the hotels, the restaurants.
It's huge.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we're excited about that, and that's really our goal. Our goal is to put Fort Wayne on the map. This, and when
I think getting advertisers around this area is going to be easy for you.
Yeah, when we open the doors, it'll be the largest indoor pickleball facility east of the Mississippi River.
Wow.
So,
Now how about marketing that?
Yeah.
See, I love that. Now you have a story to tell.
66,000 square feet, and they're putting in 21 courts.
Well, so additionally, when they said 24 courts on the news, we were going to go to 22. We've decided to combine 2 of the courts and make a center court that's at
like a
tournament
championship
level.
court.
That
Yeah,
again
bleachers around it.
claims
Yeah,
that it's the
nice.
best center court in the United States.
That's
to play tournament
fascinating.
games.
That's great. So you have a center court, yeah.
Yeah, because I think what we're doing here, and I know that there was a picture of.
Sonar, you got some pictures up for us?
Yeah, there was a mock-up of the facility in Roswell, Georgia, which is the first location for Ace.
Look at that, Joe.
Wow, that's beautiful.
But these are going to be, professional grade. Basically, picture the most professional grade tennis court that you could possibly have. This will be that, but for pickleball. And
I know this is going to make Abby happy because one of the biggest things I took out of her interview when we had her on, basketball courts, the ball skips, and it's not any fun to the real pickleballers.
Yeah, and you
No.
get reflection off the wood also.
I actually played at Spice when you guys, I don't know who ran it, but tried to open it. I played with Troy Whelan. The Brandenburgers would know him, and we played singles here.
And it just didn't.
It wasn't fun.
It wasn't fun.
Yeah, and so it'll be a great experience, because really in Fort Wayne there are places to play outdoors on dedicated pickleball courts, but other than that, places to play indoors, it's either on a gym floor or a tennis court with painted-on lines, and it's not the same experience.
Right.
Well, we're also
The color
interested.
scheme, it's just so it's.
Oh, look at that. It's just
bright.
beautiful. It's bright. It's beautiful. You know what also it looks, Dave? It looks very modern.
Yeah.
It's a sport that when you look at it visually, it looks very modern. And, Sonar.
I'm looking at this picture here. There's a lot of poles. They don't have that here. You guys are wide
Correct.
open.
Yeah. This is a very, very, very unique space. In fact,
And this is like perfect for you guys.
Yeah, when we were really talking with the Ace people about this particular location, again, there were question marks like, well, okay, hang on, what is it? And so I literally walked around with the GoPro, put it up, in a private link on YouTube, sent it to him so they could see that, and then we actually had one of the Ace designers fly out here and walk through, so he could lay eyes on it, because when you walk, it's one thing to see pictures or a video, but when you actually, you could feel the energy in here. So he was he left that. This is like just a couple weeks ago. He left that experience just really, really excited about it. So.
Or our colleague Sonar with multi-format, we talked a little bit, since you're going to have a championship court, are you going to be doing videoing or streaming any of these big matchups? So, we'd love to be involved in that, wouldn't we, Sonar? Because we'd love to come down and capture some of that. Maybe Matt and Abby could do a little play-by-play for us since they know the game so well, but man, just exciting,
Will
man.
will you be streaming live?
Yeah, my assumption would be yes. I'll say this, that
Some
we're
of the big
super
ones.
early in the whole
Oh,
process.
yeah, of course.
And so, there'll be a lot of opportunity for growth and technology. But I will tell you, one of the things that's unique with Ace is they have already struck a deal with a vendor that provides video technology for tennis, and they're adopting that for pickleball. So it's called PlaySight. And so you'll be able to, if you're a competitive player, you'll be able to, like you play a match with your friends, you'll be able to go back and watch the match on your phone. They've talked about having features in at some point in time where if you're not a competitive player but you want to share a reel on Instagram or Facebook, you can do that.
Okay.
And then they're also going to be testing next week when they open in Roswell in a couple of courts, instant replay. So if you want to go back and look, now they're testing that because they're not sure how much that would slow the game down, and so they want to kind of see if that's a possibility or not. But that's one of the opportunities and advantages that I think that we have being a part of a franchise system.
Sure.
Is we've got people behind the scenes that are constantly looking for ways to innovate and bring new things to the game, and new things that we can bring to our customers. Same experience. What's interesting is it's the same experience we had with Sky Zone. They were constantly innovating, and the interesting part about it is that they are hiring a lot of ex-Sky Zone people. So these guys are very, very well versed, very knowledgeable, very experienced in running a franchise network and building a brand.
I think you guys are really on the cutting edge of a boom, of an industry boom.
Tell about your bowling.
Well, I was telling Dave. Dave and I were talking, and I was talking with Denise. When I did a lot of, being with my financial background, I did a lot of studying of charts and stock charts over the years. And if I remember right, late 60s into all the 70s, the bowling boom came. And it was a boom where I feel a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, TK, but I feel a little bit like pickleball can line up with that, because bowling was such a boom because it was something that couples could do or people could do. They could socialize. When I learned about pickleball, I learned from Denise Claxton because she was out with her kids playing and just loved it. And my wife has joined the league and plays and loves it. So you're hearing all these different types of people can play this sport, and it reminded me a little bit of bowling, because bowling was such a big social event in the 70s, and it was one of the biggest roaring industries, Dave, as it took off in the 70s. And it is, and it just pickleball feels a little bit like that, and I feel like you guys are kind of on the beginning of it, TK, and the cutting edge, Scott.
Through Denise, if you remember,
I hope you're right.
Pickleball actually started in 1965.
Yeah,
and we didn't hear about it.
You never knew about it in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, when Abby and Matt came on the first time, TK, I was out in West Virginia with my big butt going across the mountain, But I really thought the show was fascinating because I didn't realize pickleball had been around that long, but from what I learned from Abby and Matt and Denise, it seemed like, COVID and the lockdown kind of really unlocked that sport.
I would totally agree with that. I think that I think it's funny because when we put our pickleball court in our house, we were doing a pool, and the yard was all torn up. And I was talking to my wife. I'm like, "Hey, what if we do a sport court? Because the yard's torn up. If we're going to do it, let's do it now." And we actually talked we should make a tennis court, and we're going to have basketball. And we had shuffleboard. We're going to put shuffleboard on there also. And then not everybody can play tennis, and neither of us. My wife and I had never played pickleball before, but we knew that was kind of an up and coming thing. And so, hey, let's do a pickleball, court. And we just started out with that, and then started inviting a few friends over and having a good time. And I think, and I was actually razzed quite a bit by some of the people that I worked with. Not Scott, you didn't, I think, but some of the other ones. When I said when I said I was putting a pickleball court in and a shuffleboard, they're like, "What are you doing? Building a retirement community at your house?" Right? But
or a cruise boat. Hey,
yeah. But it's amazing to see. I was just telling a couple people before we went live on the air that the best market research that I could ever see happened last week. So we have 5 kids, and our youngest is 18, just graduated high school. And
where do you go to school at?
Carroll. And so he would have buddies over all the time, and they'd play basketball. They'd move the net out of the way and play basketball. And then last Thursday, he goes, "Hey, can I have some buddies over?" And I'm like, "Sure." So there's 8 guys that come over, and I look outside. It's like 6 o'clock, and they're playing pickleball. And I'm like, that's cool. And so at midnight, I was getting ready to go to bed. The lights are on. The court's lit, and they're still playing. And
There
I
you
walk
go.
out there, and I'm like, "You guys are still playing pickleball?"
they love it.
And they're like, "This is the coolest thing ever." So I
Yeah.
told them what we were doing here at Speaks because none of his friends knew, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna be there. We can't wait to be there." And so I'm like, "This is perfect market research for us because you're seeing that." Move down market in terms of age for sure. I know Scott's witnessed that as well.
And Scott, what's been some of the other feedback in the community? Because I'm hearing a lot of excitement in the 260 over it. What else are you guys hearing in the community?
I think I talked to the Fort Wayne Pickleball Association, Tim Heffron, a lot, and their big mission was to get as many courts out as they could. And
Sure.
just the idea that we're bringing 21 courts to the area, obviously, I think excites everybody. I think also the fact that we're trying to make it something of a mecca of
Yes.
pickleball in the area is something that I think is going to give it staying power. All the feedback I've gotten has been pretty much overwhelmingly positive. And that the excitement's there. I get calls all the time about make sure we get launched by October, that's like
Won't be inside.
that's it, hopefully, but
Sure.
That's just the kind of excitement I'm getting. I mean,
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
calling me right now.
Great story.
Yeah.
I think you might hold the record because usually when a pick six is thrown, I was an old quarterback. I mean, the sudden changes, Dave. That's when you can really get your head handed to you. But I was kind of blown away. 6.5 tackles from an offensive lineman.
You know what?
That's pretty good, man. Now tell us that favorite one real quick before we get into the broadcasting.
So it was my sophomore year. It was my second career start. We were playing Wisconsin Platteville. It was rainy. It was crappy outside. Quarterback threw a pick along the sidelines, and guy looked like he was going to be corralled by one of the wide receivers or the running back or somebody, and he broke free up the sideline, and I think he thought he had a wide open lane to the end zone. It was a good another 40, 50 yards, but there was no one else over there. I turned it on and I ran over, and I just kind of laid out, and you could see it on film. The guy just flew out of bounds a good 3-4 yards to their bench. Like he kind of looked like he didn't know what the heck just happened. Like where did it come from? And
you call up to Steven's point and you're like, hey man, we got to make an adjustment to your record book, man.
That's right.
I've got the most tackles by offensive linemen. Put it in there, man. That's fantastic.
See the joy on his face.
Yeah.
My best.
I will say this: I was also on punt, so I think a couple of them came on punt because we did the formation where they spread out the guys in front of the punter, and then they put 3 fat guys up in front, and said, "Here, we'll let 3 guys run at you from 6 yards away." But so I think I probably had maybe 1.5 that was on punt, but yeah, a good handful more of them came on interceptions because I was damn determined to not let a pick 6 happen. I can tell you that much.
Hey Joe, to the broadcast and let him bring it in. Most of the guys, I tell them everything. We gotta be about this far away.
Yeah,
share your headphones.
Look at how smooth he is.
Started to go with him. I'm like, oh shit, it's Justin Prince.
It's Justin Prince. Yeah,
he kind of has us down pat.
Yeah,
broadcasting.
Yeah.
I admire your work.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You were very talented. Talk to us a little bit about that. You mentioned all of a sudden, man, up in Elkhorn, you guys had a little cable, and you fell in love. Was there one broadcaster or one guy on ESPN or a combination or somebody that really kind of piqued your interest and got you excited about broadcasting?
Yeah, let me tell you, it was from day number 1. It was Stuart Scott.
Oh man,
it was Stuart Scott watching ESPN, just seeing the joy that he
cool
had.
Side of the pillow.
Yeah, just seeing the joy that he had when he was on TV every single day and calling highlights or reading things and just seeing the way that and that's the way I kind of try to approach it. I try to have fun. TV and this job.
It comes off well.
It comes off well because you know what?
Well, thank you.
You know what? The thing I like about you, and that's Stuart Scott. That's a great call because Stuart Scott, he made it fun. It wasn't about him. It was about the guys playing. And you know what I always thought about Stuart Scott? He was so likable, and that's what I kind of think with the way you do it.
Once again,
it
comes off really well to the kids.
It comes off well, and you're very likable when I watch you.
And I can tell you a story just from him covering high school baseball. He comes in our dugout. It's pretty fun down there, isn't it?
It's we
had some great conversations just with Justin involved. He's like, "Yep, Coach Brummy's got it going on tonight." So.
Well, and Justin, and the other thing is I think that helps, and I want you to take it from here. you played 3 sports.
Yeah.
You played major college football. So you come at it from. Now I also want to ask you later on about your ability to write. I'm interested in that. But you come from the sports with the background of playing it, and I think that helps with the kids because you can relate to like wins, losses, like Brummy always says, the attitudes in the locker room. I think that
Do you
helps
pick some
too.
things out when do you ever catch things like of a team in high school? Can you tell there's not going to be very good by the attitudes?
Sometimes you can certainly tell in certain games, especially if a certain player is not going to have a great day, or if a team is going to not have a great night because this player or these couple of people, you're like, oh, okay, and you can just see it in the body language.
Bad apple.
Right. Yeah, you can see it in the body language sometimes, but I agree. I think my background helps a lot. Just in terms of being able to, I think, relate to some of the players, and I understand things a lot more, I think, than anything else. Is I just know what's going on. I don't have to ask a lot of probing, like, why are you doing these questions? It's because I understand what's going on, so I can just kind of dive into what I want to dive into, and plus on top of that, like you said, it's not about me, and it never has been about me. I always just made the joke that I just I got into television because like I said, I fell in love with it watching ESPN and stuff. But I've always been a storyteller, etc. Whatever, my whole life. Anyone will tell you I'm a talker, but I just always joked around that I just sucked at writing. And that's why I got into the talking part of it. But
it worked.
But writing, there's still some writing.
That writing had to come along because, Dave, when I tell you when I would do the high school games, I'd have 3-4 hours preparing.
Yeah.
So now, think about having a broadcast every night.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you
now,
just came here from doing the 6 o'clock show.
I did.
Yeah.
And he's got to go back and do the 10 o'clock show.
When did it all begin with that? And did you have a moment when you were doing it, Justin, where you were like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is it. Like, I got this.
So I started my career up at a small PBS station, actually in Minnesota, in Brainerd and Bemidji, Minnesota. They just shout out to Lakeland News, Lakeland PBS. They just celebrated their 25th anniversary on air. So I was proud to be a part of it.
25 years for PBS.
25. Well, for their news side of stuff.
Their
news side of stuff. So July 1998 is when they came on the air for the first time and doing news. And
that's fantastic.
So pretty cool to be a little part of that, but I was up there and and just kind of I don't remember which day it was, but it was a day that it was crappy weather or something else was going on, and I was trying to bounce from this to that to this because this was canceled and this one wasn't. Then I got to this and it was postponed, and I was like, man, this was frustrating. And then the next day, I kind of remember I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't know, like, if I'm doing a good job, whatever. And then the next day, it was I remember I went to a game and one of the parents stopped me and was like, "We appreciate you coming to everything. We see you everywhere." And it was
that was kind of the validation.
And I will say this, part of the Northeast Indiana Baseball Association that I'm a part of, we recognize that right away. We always, we talk about people who make contributions to baseball
in different ways.
State. This guy is unbelievable. You're everywhere, and you care, and like you said, you care, and you enjoy what you're doing, but you care about the programs and the players, and
the kids see that, man.
And the kids see it. The kids see it, and the coaches definitely see it because it was a unanimous, overwhelming vote.
I appreciate
Justin Prince was going to win that award this year, no doubt about it.
What was the name of that award again?
It's the Bob Parker Award.
Bob Parker Award.
And,
yep.
It's a prestigious award. I mean, it's like I said, it's contributions to, showing, the stability and the appreciation of Northeast Indiana baseball. So,
well, Matt has an ex-player, Zach Pyatt.
Yep.
Yes.
And he's I still follow him, and he's the same way down in
he's in Richmond.
Richmond.
Yep.
He's at everything. I mean,
covering every
volleyball,
sport.
cross country. He's there,
And people see that.
And people are thanking him all the time on Twitter.
Yeah, people see that. The
There's a
parents
lot of,
appreciate that.
especially at a lot of those small markets, especially with the newspapers. I will give those guys their flowers because they a lot of those dudes and females, excuse me, a lot of those reporters they have to grind. They have to.
Yeah,
they are at everything and everywhere, and with little to no thanks and sometimes little to no pay, but they are busting their asses and it doesn't go unnoticed, especially from someone who's in the industry himself and and so.
And
but
it's a journey, man. It's a journey.
It's
I mean, think where you started at.
Yeah.
And now you're down here with us on Fox, but I'm telling you what, with the media like that and broadcasting, Dave, the journeys that people go through and the long nights, the sacrificing, all of that, man. Was there a moment where you were just like, man,
I'm burnt.
I'm burnt, man. I'm out of here, man. Or did you have some moment where you had to kind of talk to yourself and no, come on now, let's stick with it?
Yeah, there's been a few moments. It's just wondering if things are worth it sometimes.
Sure.
And how long you want to kind of keep grinding. I had one of those. You guys may remember my old partner in crime, Peter Hood.
You mean your son?
Yeah, my son.
You are
Peter.
the father, right?
No. We did get asked that a few times though. But Peter
That's on
left.
his Twitter page.
Yeah.
I am not Peter Hood's dad.
Yeah, that's great.
Peter left in October of 2021.
You two were great together.
Yeah, I still one of my best friends. Still talk to him all the time. Love him to death. But he left back in October of 2021 for a new job down in Indianapolis for a better situation for he and his wife. And I had no ill will towards him. I was very happy for him, but it just took some time to find his replacement. And I went, it was 3 months that I went without a sports reporter, without a weekend guy. So we were doing it like every day. And I remember there was a stretch there that I was just like, how long am I going to do this? Like, how long do I want to do this? But and it was actually around states for football. I kind of had a reinvigoration for it for a second because, it stunk because you saw Adams Central lose, but just to kind of see the way that the community rallied down there and just to see the way that they got down to state and that made it worth it. Homestead girls soccer, they won a state title during that stretch, and it was just a little stretch there that I was like, okay, this is why I'm doing this, and it made it so much fun, and and kind of made me kind of sit back and remember things, and but it's been a fun 6 years down here. I've been down here 6 years already.
And there's a new 2-year contract. Right?
Yep, there is a new contract. So I'm here for a little bit longer.
Good. We got him, Sonar.
I want him to stay here forever.
I know we do.
The next Dean Pantazzi.
Exactly, and you know what? Absolutely talented.
Four-way needs a guy like that. Hilliard Gates, he was the man forever.
Yeah.
Then Art Salzberg and Dean
had their show.
Yep. Sort of what we're doing now.
Yep. Kind of what we're pushing on. We're always trying to push the envelope.
I want him to be the guy.
I think he could be very, very talented. And what's the one big event you covered, or the one moment down here in the 260 that you covered that really stuck with you? Or was there something? Was there a football championship or a soccer championship or a certain event, basketball or anything that you were just like, wow, that was really cool? Was there?
So there's been quite a handful of them.
Okay.
I actually so part of so I'm a big hunter. I put that on my little thing for you guys. But hunting season in Wisconsin is unfortunately the week of state finals for football. So I've actually only ever been down to state for football once a year, or 1 year, and that was the year that Peter left. And that's just because I
had to cover it.
Yeah, well, I had to go down for it. But hunting to me is a super important thing. So it's my family's been doing it at the same spot up in northern Wisconsin since 1934.
Now I'm going to ask.
Biggest rack you hit?
I actually just harvested my first buck this last year. It's tough hunting up there sometimes, and
Really?
I missed a few years because of other stuff going on.
Sure.
High school basketball, high school other stuff going on, and so missed a few years. I've been able to harvest other deer, but they've all just been does, and so I actually just harvested my first buck this last fall, and little 9-point buck. I named him Russell.
Russell.
So if you guys, I don't know why, it was just the first name that popped into my head. And
you haven't met anybody down here to take you out?
No, I actually haven't gone down here much. If I've ever gone, I've just been back home, and so
you should go. He should go hunting with Joe Titman and the Titman boys.
That would be a lot of fun.
That would be some hunting.
By the way, they'll take you out to Montana. Property size of Allen County out there.
No kidding.
You could not run into each other.
But yeah, so getting back to the whole event thing. I mean, I'll never forget the first time I covered state boys basketball. That was just an unbelievable atmosphere at what was then it was Blackhawk Christian's first state championship that they won. So what was that, 2019? I think it was, because I got here in 17.
18.
They lost in 17-18 to Southwood because that was Caleb First's freshman year.
Yeah.
And then they won it in 18-19. So and then 20 was canceled, and
21.
and then they won again in 21. So
22.
And then this last year in 23. So, but the first time I went down there was the 2019 one, and I'll never forget seeing just how packed then. It was Banker's Life at the time, but Cambridge Fieldhouse, how packed that place was for a 1A state championship boys basketball game. I was absolutely in shock at just kind of seeing that like that. I've gone down to state softball a couple of times. Saw Leo play down there, lose a 1-0 heartbreaker to I believe it was now I can't think of who the heck they played, but they lost a 1-0 heartbreaker a few years ago. And then to see the support, Eastside softball got down there at state a few years ago.
Yeah,
that
great
was
program.
That was a lot of fun. And so and in terms of Indiana, those are the ones that have really impressed me. I've seen some really cool locally atmospheres at some of the old SAC holiday tournaments. Seeing
Needs
some of
to
those
come back again. Goes to our whole point at the beginning of the show.
Please bring it back.
Seeing some of those championship games for a couple of years, just how packed Wayne High School was.
Sure.
That was unreal. But
just
by
so
far,
it used to be in the Coliseum.
Yep, I do know that.
You heard us commiserate before you came on.
Speaking of the Coliseum, though, probably the most cool thing that I've ever seen since I've been here was 2021 when the Comets won the ECHL championship.
Yeah.
Seeing the way that arena was packed for a minor league hockey game. I have never seen anything like that. It was unbelievable. I mean, there wasn't an empty seat in that place.
Matt used to see that all the time with the Fletcher years and
yeah. I mean, I had season tickets for 8 years and go
It'd be packed
every night. You're watching quality hockey. I mean,
you grew up here. You think you're watching the pros.
Yeah.
The NHL.
I mean, you're not wrong. And
we're programmed here.
And it's so it was really, really cool to see that a couple years ago. Back in Minnesota, I'll never forget boys hockey state tournament up there. That is like that is their
that's pro.
It is unbelievable. They play their boys hockey and girls hockey state tournaments at the Xcel Energy Center, which is where the Minnesota Wild play. And they, for the boys, for a quarterfinal boys game, now there's two classes. There's Class A and Class 2A. It's because there's just, it's just not enough schools to all play hockey. For a quarterfinal game in the state tournament at the Xcel Energy Center, it was my first year. I had just moved to Minnesota 3 months before, and they had more in attendance there than I think three other NHL arenas that night.
Wow, man!
For a high school boys hockey quarterfinal game.
Wow,
it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe. You would have thought you were at an NHL game just because of how many people there were, and nope, just another high school hockey game in Minnesota. Wow.
Justin, your time covering Blackhawk, did you get close to the Davidsons?
I did. I've been very close with the Davidsons. I've seen. I was Frankie, I think, was a junior when I was my first year here. So I've seen Frankie from high school through college. I've seen Marcus come all the way up through high school. I've seen Jimmy come all the way up through high school.
We had Jimmy and Pickett come here.
And then
they were great. Those two kids were great.
And then, God willing, see their next couple of kids come up here in the next few years. But Mark and Lisa have been always, great to me, especially. And so, I can still sit there and hear Mark's voice in my head, and miss him every day. And
amazing human being.
Yeah, he was. And so I was very lucky to get to know them before everything happened. And I will say that was one of the things I'm most grateful about moving down here for, was getting to meet Mark Davidson and his family.
From Elkhorn to the 260. Congratulations on the new contract.
Thank you.
Thank you, WFTV.
Exactly. Now we're excited.
Keep him here.
We want to keep you here, but I got to ask you, all the success, what's next? What's coming down the line the next 5, 10, 15 years for the great Justin Prince?
I'm not sure. It just kind of depends where things go for me. I've been down here 6 years, and I think if you would have asked me when I moved down here 6 years ago if I was even going to make it, the length of my first contract, I would have been like, I don't know. I see what's out there and see what's next. And I think that's one of the cool things about this job.
Living here.
Yeah, is one of the cool things about this job is there are so many opportunities, so many places all over this country to be able to do what I do, which is not the case for a lot of professions. But to get to see so much of the U.S., it's kind of a cool thing. But right now I'm happy where I'm at. We're if things change and personally, etc., professionally, I've always said I wanted to work back in Milwaukee just because that's home. My mom and dad can watch, grandma can watch, all my other family can watch. But if that's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
And you stay here for another 30.
Who knows? That could happen as well.
Get some ownership.
Last question before we do this rapid fire round. We have a rapid fire round coming up where Sonar's beautiful wife, Crystal, came up with this, where we're going to kind of ask you some quick, short questions.
Okay.
But before that, every night when they say, hey, 3, 2, 1, you're on, and you look in that camera, do you still have that same kind of excitement? And do you still have butterflies or excitement as if it was the first time, Justin?
Yeah, I mean there's always a little bit of a certain excitement and butterfly effect to it. I will say I don't get nearly as nervous as the first time I did it, because the first time I think I was just about to puke as soon as as soon as the cameras went off, because I was so nervous that I just wanted to do a good job and whatever. But
you do, man.
Well, I appreciate that, but no, there's always some excitement, some nervousness, especially when you've got if you've been to a basketball game or you've been to these football games and you've got a really cool highlight and you're excited to get it on the air and or tell a really cool story. And I've been fortunate to be able to tell some really good ones, but so there's always that excitement to kind of get to go on air and I mean everyone always says, oh, I can't imagine doing your job. Just knowing there's so many people. I'm like, at one point you just think, oh, it's just you and the camera.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you do. When I did all the big high school games, Justin, I would sit there with Jeff Mahoney or whoever, and I would always tell myself, man, it's just like we're sitting here having a beer, watching ball.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you're saying too. You're just talking to the camera.
I have a lot of beers still watching you do your show.
Hey, I do have one question for you.
Go ahead, Brummy.
How big of a scramble drill is it getting ready for the locker room?
It can be a hell of a Friday night.
I bet.
I bet so.
I've always,
especially when you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah. When I'm doing it by myself, it can be a little bit more. I will say I'm very, very fortunate that obviously there's Elijah and I that you see every Friday night, but we have a group of 3, 4, 5 other people sometimes, depending on what week and who they are, that willingly donate their time to us to help, and they love sports themselves, so they're willing and everything to go out. But we couldn't do what we do without them, and so I'm very thankful for what's been probably close to a dozen different people that have shot during my 6 years here.
Sure.
But there's a lot of different scrambling, because I'm usually going to 3 games on a Friday night for football.
I wonder about that.
And then during basketball season, it's anywhere between 4 and 6, sometimes 7 basketball games and stuff that I'm trying to get to. So it can be a bit of a scramble drill, especially if this game's going really fast or this game's going really slow, and you're like, but it's I wouldn't have it any other way. It's those are the nights that make my job a lot of fun too.
Now I got to ask you one more question before the rapid fire. Do you play pickleball?
I have not played. I have not played since high school.
Come on, Brummy. We have to accept pickleball, brother.
We
Back to the Future, baby.
We did play in high school a little bit.
You played in high school. Can you believe this, Justin?
I know it's kind of crazy. What?
How old are you?
I am 32 years old. So I graduated high school 14 years ago.
So he played in high school. Did you hear that?
And my oldest is 30. He didn't do it, but Ty did it.
Yeah, interesting.
We had like units in gym class, or if it was a rainy, shitty day, something like that, we'd go inside, and that would be it'd be the easiest thing for him to set up. So we'd play some pickleball, and so I wasn't unfamiliar with it. But 15 years ago, you say pickleball to someone, and they'd be like, "What the hell's that?"
Exactly.
But nowadays, obviously, it's becoming such a growing trend. So
it's exciting out here. So Dave, you want to start with the rapid fire with Justin?
Oh baby.
Okay. Since you've been here for 6 years, you said
6 years already. Yep.
All right. What is your favorite restaurant in the fort?
My favorite restaurant in the fort. Shout out to Lucille's.
You gotta love that. He didn't hesitate. That's my man. You see that, Sonar? He didn't even hesitate. I see you, Justin. That's what I'm talking about. You didn't even hesitate.
The Wilson family is really happy right about now.
Shout out to Lucille's Barbecue.
Yeah, and they will be catering the Stab Ready Scramble this year on August 19th for lunch.
Man, he went fast, Joe.
That was beautiful, man.
I tell you what,
sit back and
that's the talent.
No, it's anytime I have someone. Actually, one of my buddies from Minnesota was traveling through, and I met up with him a couple weeks ago, and he said, "Where do you want to go for lunch?" And I said immediately, I was like, "Lucille's. We're going for barbecue." And he said, "Okay, let's go." And he was very impressed. Yeah. So,
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What is something about you that people would be surprised to know?
As much as I do love sports, I can also be a bit of a little bit of a nerd at times. Like I do love my video games sometimes, and
you have time for video games.
Not always, but sometimes. I love Harry Potter.
Do you really?
Grew up
there you go.
Reading all those books.
Now that's what I love about the 26O.
Yeah.
I see Justin Prince on TV. Yep, a dancing bear. And you know what? I would never put Harry Potter with him, and now we learned something.
Harry
tonight.
Potter, and then
how about that, Sonar? Harry Potter,
bunch of the superhero stuff too. Love the Marvel movies, love all that stuff. So,
that's cool, man.
So I geek out on that shit all the time.
That's awesome, man.
Landon Livingston, we had him on, and that's where the dancing bear.
Oh, okay.
Because he did dance.
Okay. Yeah.
We couldn't believe it, man. Dance for Disney, man. Landon Livingston.
Hey, you got to get those nimble feet as an old lineman.
We was talking about how quick his feet are.
Yeah.
And I was
saying
it's from him playing basketball. No, it's from him doing dance.
Do you guys have any fun or weird family tradition in your family?
I don't. Well, so obviously hunting is one of my more favorite family traditions. Again, my dad's side of the family, they've been doing it in the same spot since 1934. It started in a little tent, out in the woods, and now it's evolved into, we have a nice cabin that we hunt out of and stuff, and it's a big family affair every year. We've got family that kind of comes back from all over. My dad's got a cousin that lives out in Arizona that comes back. But I will say this, one of my favorite things is we don't do like a traditional like Christmas with my grandma's side of the family. We do a big seafood boil. We do crab legs and shrimp and all that stuff. Oh yeah, every year.
I can do that.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
So that's one of my other favorite traditions too.
Interesting.
My question is, what are you watching on Netflix?
What am I watching right now? It's Suits. Suits. Okay. I kept seeing clips of it all over, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it was, and I have been wanting to watch it for years, but I just never quite knew where to watch it. And then all of a sudden, it was on Netflix, and I absolutely dove into it, and I think like halfway through it already.
Have you ever watched Peaky Blinders?
Never watched Peaky Blinders.
You gotta get into it.
I've heard some good things.
Just gotta get through the first 3 or 4.
I know. I'm all the way down here. Down here now. I will say I sped through that quarterback series that they had on there.
Yeah.
I was.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Loved it, huh?
It was
second season coming.
Second season coming, but loved that. Suits is my current go-to though.
We'll say this before we go to the next one.
Yeah.
Watched the new episodes of Justified last night. It's legit.
It's legit. That's what legit, huh?
It's
check it out. Huh? You give it the Dave Rickert stamp of approval.
That's why he doesn't go into work till about 11 o'clock.
That's the reason. You better get him, Charlene.
And then it's lunch.
How about music, Justin? What do you listen to music-wise?
A lot of everything, man.
Interesting.
It's just kind of. I think a lot of it is the just the influences that you had growing up through all the sports that you played and everything, especially getting to college. Grew up huge on country, 90s music, 80s rock, stuff like that from my dad. Yeah. But I was a big country guy for the longest time and refused to be about anything else. And then you start getting into other locker rooms that listen to a lot of different things, and so I like rock, I like rap, I like hip hop, I like pop. Country, it varies and it's all over the place, and I love it.
It's so funny because we were in my office, I think it was last week, and Ryan Preston's kind of working with the show. He plays basketball up at Shrine. Was it here? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, it was here. Ryan's a great kid. I actually remember that name, Ryan Preston at Shrine. He was dominant high school basketball player for Carroll, but we love Ryan. Shouts out to Ryan Preston. But him and Dave and I were sitting around talking about music, and Dave says, Dave was talking about Van Halen and Ryan Preston. This is where I felt old, Sonar. Ryan Preston turns to Dave and he says, "Who's that?" I thought Dave was gonna
that
break.
Was probably good, and I wasn't here that night.
I thought Dave was gonna break jump. I thought Dave was gonna break the album out right there on him, man.
Joe, I just sat there and stared at him for a little bit, like he's messing with me. And I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Fantastic, man.
And then he had to look it up on his phone.
That was what was really funny. I was like, man. I said, then I was like, Motley Crue. And he didn't know that
one either, man.
Now, I got kind of a tough question for you now.
Okay.
And I'll give you a moment because we get all kinds of great answers. Past or present for Justin Prince, who is that one person that you'd love to have a cup of coffee with, or that one person that you'd love to have that conversation with? We've had just a wide range. When Coach Abs was on, it was very nice. He talked about his father and his grandfather who had passed. But we've had people on that have mentioned, political figures, religious figures, but it's always kind of interesting, a lot of the answers we get with that. But for Justin Prince, past and present, who is that one individual that Justin Prince would love to sit down and have a cup of coffee with?
So from a personal perspective, I'll go with this one first. I'll have a couple of different answers.
Go ahead.
But my first one is my grandpa.
Second time for that answer.
My grandpa was one of my heroes in my life. He passed away back in 2014.
Tell us his name.
His name's Raleigh. Rollin.
Was that kind of the hunting side too?
Yeah, that was my dad's dad.
Okay.
But we lost him back in 2014 after just some lengthy battle with some illnesses. But I actually have a dog tag that's got his thumbprint on it that I wear every single day.
That's beautiful. Look at that, Sonar. Isn't that beautiful? Wow, what a tribute to his grandfather.
So I wear it every single day.
Man, isn't that beautiful, Matt?
But
awesome.
so if I could, just be able to have one more cup of coffee, one more beer, or something with Grandpa, that would be that. But from like another personal, from thinking about favorite athletes, whatever kind of. So first off, Hank Aaron.
Great answer.
I wore 44 in high school for playing baseball. Always just wanted to hit balls like Hank Aaron did.
You know what, Justin? What's interesting is we've had a couple other guys mention Hank Aaron, and he kind of transcended the generations.
He did, Dave.
Yeah,
he did.
In my opinion, he's the greatest
power hitter.
Well, not just power hitter. Yeah. He's got the best records.
Yeah,
he's in 1, 2, 1. Right in that range. He's got the most best percentage.
Yeah.
And I mean, and he's so revered. I mean, and he passed away, obviously, in the last couple of years, but he's so revered up in Milwaukee, and seeing how much they love him in Milwaukee and within that Brewers organization is unbelievable. So, like, he'd be a guy, just because I'd love to pick his brain and just, hear his stories about baseball and playing all over.
I got his autograph at Stuckey Brothers.
Okay.
Did you really? You got Hank Aaron's autograph?
Stuckey Brothers Appliance Store.
Okay.
They brought him in.
That's pretty cool.
I got Johnny Bench's autograph at AMC Jeep.
Yeah. Wow.
His brother owned it.
Okay. And then from another, like, athlete perspective, Reggie White. Reggie White was one of my favorite football players. I mean, from the 90s. I mean, the minister of defense, seeing him, help take the Packers to a Super Bowl championship team in 1996. Like, that was, so cool to see, because, I mean, no one wanted to come to Green Bay at that time. They were terrible. Right. They were terrible before he and Favre got there.
They had Don Machowski.
Makowski,
The Magic Man.
Yeah, they were bad, weren't they?
They were bad up until Favre's first couple of years, but Reggie White, he signed with Green Bay, and it changed everything. Titletown came Titletown once again, and plus on top of that, especially growing up, like, as an old lineman and being a guy that, like, I was always like, okay, I want to try and learn from the best, and he was one of the best, and that would just be a guy that I'd love to pick his brain. And then professionally, Stuart Scott, just getting to sit down with him and just again, pick his brain about the job, and just hear some of his life experiences, things like that. I would have loved nothing more.
Great answer, Dave. You want to
one last one?
Yeah.
What's your greatest sports moment? Yours.
My greatest sports moment. Oh man, that one is tough. Probably my senior year of college. We beat Whitewater. Actually,
wow.
It was my senior year. It was the 5th and final time we were playing them. I'll never forget it. I actually had a terrible block on the play.
Goliath.
I had a terrible block on the play. Quarterback got hit because of me, but he dropped the ball into our wide receiver. His name was Theo Malio, on a fly pattern down the right side. Dropped it right into his hands despite getting hit. So shout out to Mitch Bowe. Dropped the ball right into his hands. Scored a touchdown on the play. And then Whitewater was coming down the field, and our defense held. They blocked a field goal to win the game.
Wow, what a game, huh?
And I'll never forget that one, because we were 2-8 my senior year of college. We weren't, we were in a lot of games, but just couldn't quite put stuff together. And we beat Whitewater though. After getting our clocks cleaned by them earlier in the season down in Whitewater, so that was pretty cool, because I ended my career with we beat every team in the conference, and we also lost every team in the conference. But that was probably one of the best moments in my athletic career, was getting to beat Whitewater.
Nice. Well, Justin, the 260 is proud of you.
Hey, thank you.
And
Appreciate
you know what?
Guys.
Thank you, brother, for coming on.
Absolutely.
And we are blessed to have the talent in the media, like
Appreciate
guys
you
like
guys.
Justin Prince.
Thank you.
Go
ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
I want to wish shout. Good. Really hoping that Georgetown Little League does well in the state tournament this week.
Yep. Best of luck to them.
That starts tomorrow. So I'm going to be minus one player a couple of times because of a wedding.
It happens, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave's like, cancel the wedding.
I told him to cancel the wedding. Dad didn't like that idea, but no, I've watched them play twice now, and I mean, they are really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, before we get to the question here, Hunter Sosenheimer just texted in. He goes, "Great show tonight, fellas. Glad you got him on. Love the content. Keep up the great work."
Thank you, Hunter.
Sounds
Shouts
like Hunter's
out.
due for another 50-cent raise.
Let's go, baby. Hunter won that beautiful bat.
He
didn't
did.
We
It was
love
an
Hunter.
honor to hand it to him.
See you, Hunter.
Yeah, we do see you, Hunter. Thanks for everything you do. He's in a tough spot. Not a tough spot. He does a great job with it. He gets to, so we talked about the 6 games.
Yeah.
So we've got the Dayton Dragons coming in next week with our good buddy Hayden Jones is coming back.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, last week we had the Dodgers in, the dreaded Dodgers and the Great Lakes Loons. Well, Hunter, and you guys know, but he takes care of them, and he does all the stuff, and he does all the running around. They love him. He's so
great.
good at what he does. And, maybe someday Hunter and Sam Lewis will be in the big leagues.
I know. You know what?
It's passion.
Absolutely. He's a winner.
He's got great passion.
Yeah,
great passion.
What did mean to you last year when you got minor league executive?
It was
of the year?
cool. All kidding. So I know
can't
we got.
believe that's your only.
That's
your
out of
first.
like 120 organizations.
120 teams.
Gotta brag a little
It's
bit about
the
you. That's
third
a
year
big
they've done
deal.
it.
I can't believe that's only your first after we, especially when we won.
So Mama and Caitlin go out with me because the winter meetings last year in San Diego. I have no idea that I'm winning it. And I have no idea that I'm
Really?
up,
No idea.
I have no idea that I'm up for it. And my wife, she'll love hearing this when we play this back. She's like, we don't need to go to this, do we? I mean, maybe Caitlin and I'll just stay in the room in our jammies because of the times change and whatever. And she's friends with a lot of my buddies because this is all I've ever done. And sometimes they'll come and stay at the house and stuff because we're real friends. And so anyway, I'm sitting there talking to a guy with the Kansas City Royals, just like Coach and I are sitting next to each other. And we met that night. And he's like, are you guys up for anything? And we were up for a team award earlier in the night, and we didn't win it. And he said, what about you? And I said, no. And then they do the thing, and they're like, now it's time to present the executive of the year, and they read off what seems like 5 or 6 names, and the guy's like, I thought you weren't up for anything. And I looked at him and I'm like, I didn't know that I was. And he's like, good luck, man, I hope you win it. I said, bro, they gotta tell you ahead of time. They can't expect you to just wing it, right?
Yeah.
Sure enough, as I'm sitting here, and the night's winner from Fort Wayne,
Yeah,
the
baby.
Tin Caps, Mike Nutter. The guy looks at me. I've known this guy for 10 minutes of my life. He goes, you got 30 seconds to figure out what to tell 400 people. Good luck. So I actually went up there.
Wow.
I thanked. I deferred, to the other people in the room that probably were as more deserving or equally as deserving. And then I did a brief shout out of just, we've got 120 cities represented from all around the country. In our cities, we are the Cubs and the Guardians and the Reds and the White Sox and the Cardinals and Tigers and stuff. We can go back and we can make an impact on the mental health because we've got an opportunity and a calling, because I had seen what it did to our family and stuff. And so a lot more teams are doing strike out the stigma and some mental health stuff. And the coolest thing is we've got players coming up to us for the night saying, can I do a video? Can I be a part of that? Because I lost my way and that kind of stuff. So it's neat. More and more people, when we were coming up, and Joe, I know you were, how you were on the football field. It's like way back then, if somebody did something, maybe they were soft or whatever.
It was preached when I came up, and I always tell myself I'm going to operate from strength. I'm going to be strong. But you know what? Times change.
Right.
And also, there's so much more stuff out there that I think people deal with. Yeah.
Right.
And I think as much as Dave and I hated COVID and we hated the lockdown and everything, I think a lot of us learn. That's an understatement, I know. I think a lot of us learned a little more empathy and compassion because we realized how much we need each other and really how fragile those social relationships are. So I think you're so right about that with your lovely daughter, because there were so many people that were impacted like that. And to get I tell you what, hats off to you. To get an award like that, I would have been tempted to go up there and beat my chest and bark a little bit. The executive of the year out of 120. I would have been like, but what he did was
I was worried I had buffalo sauce on my cheek.
I got to get off this stage as fast as I can.
Buffalo sauce. But you know what you did? You took it and you highlighted something that I think is so important in our society. What people don't realize is I was close with a Chicago councilman who told me, Joe, you don't understand. Half the guys that are locked up in the penitentiary have mental health problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's beautiful, and I think that's something that you took a really dear moment for yourself, man, and you're able to make it so beautiful for our community, man. And you know what? And I'm gonna tell you something else. From everybody from the 26O, we're proud of you, brother.
Thanks,
and you know
man.
what? And we're proud of the Tin Caps. And you know what, man?
Let's win this year.
I hear that. Before we're going to get into the rapid fire questions, Sonar's lovely wife came up with a segment where we're going to ask you some quick questions. But you know what, man? I just admire the energy and to me, the rawness and the ability to get up every day and have an idea. And that's from one businessman to another, man.
Thank you very much. I'm 50 and I've never had a cup of coffee.
That's unbelievable, man. I mean, they can put you on the cover of Red Bull, man. You know, I tell you what.
I'm afraid what would happen, brother.
Let's go, man. That's natural, baby. Tell them, Dave.
Cup of coffee.
That's
in my life.
fantastic.
Ever.
Dave, you want to start?
I'd be bouncing off
with,
the walls.
You want to start with rapid fire, Brummy? If you want to add something, in, feel free, brother.
Yeah.
If you could meet someone past or present, and you just said it, have a cup of coffee with, we'll say a water, who would it be?
Man, you know, the guy I liked as a baseball player as a kid growing up, the guy that I loved, Griffey I loved, but before that was Ricky Henderson.
Oh, man, he was
Ricky B. Ricky.
He used to always talk to himself,
always
too.
talking to himself and that swagger and all that kind of stuff. I would love to just sit there and talk about
It's a great one.
the impact and how you could change a game. And a buddy of mine played with Ricky.
No one will beat him.
No.
He'll never be broken.
No way. And the leadoff homers and the steals. And again, not a whole lot of humility. You know, the night he breaks the record, he holds the base up. I am now the greatest of all time. And then the man above has a way of humbling all of us. That same night, Nolan Ryan threw like his 5th or 6th no-hitter to take the front
And
page.
Lou Brock was on the field.
Yeah, and you're like,
I know Lou Brock was right there, right?
Have a little humility. But how did he bring that that drive?
Who was the one guy had to wear the helmet on the field? First
John
base?
Olerud.
There's that one with, he goes, I played with Ricky 2 places. Third place they're playing, he goes, we're sitting on a bench, and he goes, Ricky looks at him, he goes, I used to play with a guy who had to wear a helmet just like that. Olerud goes, Ricky, that was me.
Yeah. There's only 25 in the locker room and on the plane. Like,
Now I got to ask real quick
Ricky
since
be
we talking about Ricky Henderson. We kind of mentioned him earlier. I told you the story how I had a buddy that mistaken him for Bruce Jenner before Bruce had all of his work done. But Pete Rose. In the Hall of Fame or not, you two?
Yes.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, I've walked by every day I've ever been
100%.
in a ballpark, that rule. At the same time,
sure.
It's
at
posted.
the same time, man, just, I don't know him.
How
I've met
big
him.
would it be, Mike, if they showed some compassion and said tonight, some night in July or August, we're going to have a celebration.
Right.
And we're going to have a celebration of greatness, and we're going to have Pete Rose go in the Hall of
I
Fame.
mean, he's in the Reds Hall. They
Yeah.
brought him back for the 50th or 100th anniversary
Right.
team, those kinds
100.
of things. And it just, I hope they don't
His
put him
number-
in after he's passed.
That's the thing.
Yeah, like, if you're not going to put him in, then obviously my vote doesn't matter. Then don't put him in, but don't do it a couple years after he
His
goes.
numbers don't lie.
No.
They don't lie.
And who knows what he did?
And by the way,
But his
all those
competitive
guys
drive.
they had buckets of pills,
Oh,
and they just walking. It's like Skittles.
I knew guys way back in the day that they left at the end of one season, and the next year they came back looking like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
You know,
I know.
it was funny. I was watching
Remember
MLB.
Dante Bichetti
I was
came back
wa-
with 22-inch arms. It was like, what the?
I was watching MLB Network earlier this year, and it was Bob Costas with some snark. He got done doing a segment on Rose, and he's like, and now we'll go to commercial, and this is brought to you by DraftKings. You know, and so, you know, with Pete's competitive fire, did
That's
he ever
what it
bet
was. He was
against
kinda-
the Reds? Man, I hope not. I hope he
I
didn't
think you know what I
bet.
think he was doing. I think he was betting with his guys. 'Cause you
Yeah.
know how he was. I mean, he was just. I know. I hope we
He's
can move past
100%
it.
big red machine.
Yeah,
He
for
is.
sure.
Yeah, he is. Now, got a question for you. What's something about you that people would be surprised to know?
Wow. You know what?
Because you got so much energy, so much enthusiasm.
So this is not energy or enthusiasm, but around our house, when my daughter was going through some treatments, and just at different times, this is the most random thing I can tell somebody, is we like to do puzzles the size of this table.
Kidding me?
No, I mean like the
You
hardest
got the-
ones.
How do you sit down with all your energy?
You
Get
know
out
what,
of here!
man?
No way! You
Yeah,
don't
man.
do a puzzle.
Yeah, man.
Get out of here!
It is
You
that
do
competitive thing, like
a puzzle for
I
Mike Nutter.
gotta do 100 pieces tonight, or I can't go to bed.
No way.
Oh, I'm not telling you it's channeled properly. I'm just telling you something weird that people wouldn't know.
It's not channeled properly.
Matt Joe, look at his chair. It's just shaking. I can
Oh,
see
yeah.
what a puzzle piece.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah, like that old Operation game as a kid. I got buzzed again.
What song do you sing along to when it comes on? Are you driving down the road? Is there something that comes
So
on
listen,
that you just turn up
fellas,
and you're
I
like,
cover it all. So yesterday I was texting with the manager, and I texted him a link to Simple Man by Leonard Skinner that's in my
yeah.
morning jog routine.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
And but it's anything from country. So let's talk about concerts.
Yeah.
The very first concert I ever saw was Aerosmith and Skid Row at the Cow Palace in San Francisco.
Wow. Let's go,
I've
baby.
seen Ice Cube, Public Enemy,
Public
Garth
Enemy.
Brooks, every genre.
You've covered it.
I just love seeing the live music. I went to Taylor Swift this summer. It was our daughter's gift for getting through the treatment.
Really?
The
That's
one
beautiful.
that I didn't go into, but I just 3-4 weeks ago, July 5th, I drove 6 young men and women up to the United Center to see Drake and 21 Savage. No, I didn't go into that one. They're like, Mr. Nutter, just go in. Just
Mr.
have fun.
Nutter,
just go
let's
in.
go.
And I'm like, you know what? Let's go.
I'm
Let's
the
do
Uber.
this. I go on StubHub 20 minutes before the show to get into the arena. The cheapest was $289. I said, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to go catch a couple innings of the White Sox. I'll pick you up after. White Sox got rained out.
Yeah, of course.
So, what's your favorite restaurant in the Fort?
I absolutely love the first 2 that come to mind would be Nawa downtown. I love Asian food. It's some of my favorite stuff. And then Cat of Blue I like a lot.
Yep,
They're on Covington. Is it Covington or whatever it'd be?
Yeah,
Jefferson
Covington
on that
Plaza,
front
yeah,
out
great
there.
seafood.
Yep.
I love going up to Fabini's place, the
Yeah,
Black
Black
Canyon.
Canyon.
It's been he's the number one answer.
Yeah, I believe it.
People love
the only
that.
reason it wasn't the first thing I thought of is I got to take about 25 minutes to get up there. And
What's your favorite Mexican?
ooh, that's a good question. I like that Mercado down on the landing. I don't think you can go wrong with cebollas and salsa grill, you know, like a little less fancy. And then the one, actually a guy with the tin caps from last year, he may pitch in the big leagues. His family owns that Mi Pueblo on Jefferson.
Yeah,
so
Mi Pueblo.
he played.
Wow.
He played for us a couple years ago, and then he met a girl in Fort Wayne. They got married. They have a child. He's on the 40-man roster for the Padres. He's got a chance to pitch in the big leagues this year or next year.
Wow.
And when he comes back in the offseason, he'll be in there bussing tables and that kind of stuff.
Love it.
So
And it's
awesome.
absolutely awesome. So a lot of the answers are we just love to support people that we know and a lot more of the hometown stuff. And nothing against the chains, of course, but the small businesses that like we are.
Last question. I want you to look in that camera to everybody out there watching. Talk about kids out there or young men that are chasing that sports management degree. Tell them what that meant to you, the doors that it opened up to you, Mike, and the journey that Mike Nutter has had throughout the minor league experience all the way up to the executive of the year.
That's awesome, man. You know, got in at 18, 19, so I'm 50, and this is my 32nd year in pro ball, and I don't have 32 more in me, but I love it as much as ever and have a passion for it as much as ever. For me, it's allowed me to meet so many great people, meet my wife. I tell people, anybody listening, anybody that sees this, you can get me at nutter@tincaps.com. Come in and shadow. I'm the son of a guidance counselor, my mom. So, like, it's not one of those, you know, people say, I want to come shadow you for 8 hours. Well, that ain't happening. But what we can do is...
Actually, it'd be fun, man.
Yeah.
I think Sonar and Mike and I could do some podcasts.
Oh, no doubt.
We could shadow a little bit, Sonar.
Yeah.
We have a real good time.
But I'll tell them, you can get an hour with me. Not because I'm, like, too important, but, like,
No.
you don't, like, let me get you with our VP of sales, and let me get you
Sure,
over in accounting,
sure.
and let me get you in here and there. It's 31 full-time people year-round, and... it's wedding receptions and reunions and stuff for the non-baseball division, and it's so much. And, you know, maybe it's not a pro team, but it's a college team or a municipality.
Sure.
It's coaching. It's they want to go back and get their master's to be an athletic director at the collegiate level or an associate AD. There's so many doors and opportunities. You guys are proof with this podcast and with the show. But sports in our country is so prominent. Sometimes it feels like it's a bit much at times, even for somebody in it. But for the young guy, and for now, it's never been a better opportunity for young women,
Yes.
for minorities.
Yes.
Again,
Yes.
there's still a seat at the table for the
Everybody.
Caucasian male like that I am. But so many of our team front offices have gotten better, and we still have a little ways to go, of reflecting the communities that we're in a little better. And so if you can speak Spanish, if you can do some of that stuff, like, it is huge in sports now. And I got an email today that I replied to of a young man. My son used to battle him on the baseball field on the summer, the travel schedule. And he said, hey, I'm up here at Hillsdale, and I'm in data and analytics. Can you help?
Wow.
And we actually may do our first intern in that for us of looking at all ticket data. I'm guessing he wanted a little more of like the Moneyball, the Major League.
Right. Yeah.
And the Major League teams are all doing that with interns and stuff like that.
Fascinating.
The video stuff is gotten crazy. So to the young men and women out there chasing the dream, man, they looked at me at Bowling Green State University and said, if you get into this field, the people to your right and left are probably going to work less, and maybe they're going to make more money. And I looked at a buddy and said, what are we doing in here then? But we had a passion for it.
Yes.
The money's there. There's opportunity all around the country. If you want to be that person that gets out, you're from the Summit City, you want to move, cool, go down to Indy, go down to Nashville for a few summers, work for the team there, and then come back to the Fort Wayne area, Northeast Indiana, where the quality of life is so good, the impact that you can have in the community is so good, and come back home and put those skills to a test at the Comets, the Caps, any of the college teams, any of the travel things, any of that.
And that's why we're so blessed in the Fort is A, the Comets, and B, the Tin Caps. We are so blessed.
Absolutely.
And we are blessed to have the great Mike Nutter,
Yes, sir.
brother.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks for coming. We love our football in the 260, and I got to tease it a little bit. I'm excited about the Payne brothers coming up on the next segment, so we're going to kind of take that journey with them. But right now, we got to get our Big Joe update. And Brummy, you've been watching the Hard Knocks
Yes,
with
I
Big
have.
Joe and the Jets, and right now it's JETS, and we're going to be joined by Matt O'Leary, who has Just Jets Pod. So, man, Matt, thanks for being with us. We're excited to have you, brother. If we want to know
Matt.
about the Jets, you're the man, Matt. And
Look at his background.
look at that, JETS. And you know what? The 260 has a history with the Jets, baby. We had the great Jason Fabini,
Yes.
as you know. And then Matt, 25 years later, same high school, same area. A kid that we refer to lovingly, Big Joe Tippmann comes along. So we're hoping, Matt, that Joe can find a spot. We're hoping the injury, we need an update from you on the injury, hoping he's okay. But we're just so proud and excited. He's number 28 in our area of guys that have played in the league.
And that's what I was telling you, Matt. When pound per pound, we're number one, man.
Yeah,
With
we are
NFL players
putting guys in the NFL.
We've
the
had
260.
We've had 3 players now from this area, 2 from the same high school, play for the Jets.
That's awesome.
Mike Augustiniak, Jason Fabini, and now Big Joe.
Yep.
Yeah, Big Joe, baby.
That's pretty nuts.
Yes.
Bridges the gap.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's awesome. We have some great stories about Fabini, don't we?
Well, Joe went to school at Cincinnati with Jason. University of Cincinnati.
Jason was 6'7".
He was the quarterback.
I watched Jason at 6'7", over 300 pounds, once run a 6-minute mile. And it reminded me of the movie Terminator when Schwarzenegger's running down the neighborhood. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but it's just, you know what, Matt? We're excited, too, about the Jets. I mean, we kind of talked about it, and I told Dave, I said, I think he's going to end up with the Jets. And so we're excited, man.
He really called it.
Matt, kind of take us through. We're excited about the Jets, and seems like Aaron Rodgers is almost reborn and has kind of a new energy with you guys.
Yeah, it really feels that way. It's so exciting for us here with the Jets. They have the longest active playoff drought right now.
Yes.
It's been 12 years since they've been in the playoffs, so fans have been just itching to be relevant for a really, really long time. And last year started out good. They were 7-4 and then lost their last 6 games to finish 7-10. So we're hoping that Aaron Rodgers and the upgrade at quarterback is going to be the difference with this team this year. But yeah, expectations are pretty high, and I think rightfully so. They had last year a great defense. Their offense just was
Yeah, defense was awesome. Defense was awesome. And you guys drafted the kid from my school, Sauce Gardner. And Sauce never gave up a touchdown. A lot of people thought, man, we don't know. But he was kind of like that. He's about, 6'1", 6'2", about $180, $190. Kind of that rangy NFL corner. And it kind of felt like last year with you guys' defense that was kind of a missing link. And I think you guys had about a top 10 defense last year, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. He absolutely was. They brought in DJ Reed, the other corner in free agency, and the addition of Sauce Gardner. He is just so special watching him play. They don't make corners like that. He's long, he's lanky,
yes.
He has great speed. He can get his long arms up there and defend the passes. He allowed one touchdown as a rookie, and it was even a borderline one where you could maybe make the case it was more on the safety. That's how good he was as a rookie.
Now, Matt, it feels like lately the Jets have done a good job drafting. They had a knock on them for a while. Do you feel like that with, obviously, with your expertise with the team? It feels like they've done a better job the last few years drafting.
Well, they did their homework on Joe.
Yeah, they definitely did. They wanted a center who could get out in space with his size and do some damage, and we've seen it so far in the preseason. But yeah, I mean, just in general, the last few years they've built a lot through the draft, which is something that they really struggled with their past GM, Mike McCagnon.
Big time.
He was here with us from 2013 through 2019. Was it? So 4 years.
He hurt you guys.
Bad, real bad. Don't get big reason for that longest active playoff drought thing, but Joe Douglas has come in here and done a nice job. They really tore it down to the studs.
Yes, they did.
But they slowly built it back up year over year. And with last year's draft class, and then hopefully with the addition of this year's draft class, and obviously bringing in Aaron Rodgers, that should help progress things a little quicker.
Hey, Matt, real quick. I mean, I saw one of your episodes, and you bring up, you predict that Big Joe will be starting after the bye week. I saw an interview with Connor McGovern, and it's pretty solid what he said. He goes, "Look, I know why I'm here. I'm here to mentor Big Joe. It happened to me when I came in the league. I had guys help me." He goes, "It's a business, and I will do what they want." Talk about Connor McGovern in that statement.
Yeah, I was really, happy to hear that because, sometimes in this league you get guys who they don't want to mentor. They feel like that guy's coming for their job. They don't want to lose their job. But
sure, especially the money on the line, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. And
it's a solid statement.
Yeah, 100%. And he re-signed on a 1-year deal, so he's not the long-term answer. He knows the drill.
Sure.
Took someone in the second round that is going to be the long-term answer. But right now with Joe's injury, Saleh said that he expects him to be ready to go for week 1, that's great news.
I saw you
do we have any idea what the injury is, though?
Well, Matt did another pod where he said the whole mysterious injury of Joe Timmons. When did it happen in the game? I've watched so much footage, I don't see nothing.
No, that's the crazy thing because
it's nuts.
Nobody knew until the coach, Robert Saleh, said something after the game. And then I went back to try to watch and see what play it happened on. Couldn't really tell. And then it was 2-3 days later before they, mentioned it. All they would say is it's a knee. That's all we got now with the knee.
I even texted Big Joe, and I was like, "Hey, man, I hope this ain't serious." No reply. I texted him about
it's a blackout.
I texted him today about the show with you. He texts back. So I'm like you with a mysterious injury. What's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm hopefully everything all good. It seems that way. We're really excited about Joe here. A long term. Like I said, they might bring him on a little bit slowly in this first year, but he's just so talented. I think eventually he pushes for that starting spot at some point this year.
Yeah, thanks to everybody. This has been, this is a lot of fun to put this on. There's a lot of work. Sonar does a great job. Dave with all, his behind the scenes and gathering stuff. Denise with her outlines and Joe, with just the energy and passion of doing the job, and so it's been a pleasure for me to be on here. And like I said, it's a lot of fun to talk sports, but it's a lot of fun to bring the stories behind it.
And see, that's what, me and Matt's been doing this for years.
Mm-hmm. It's just called BS in the mayor's office, man. That's all it is.
He's the one that came up with
the barbershop, man. It's BS.
Well, also thank you to my wife, Sherilyn, for her time and support and dealing with me. So, Sonar, let's wrap it up.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks everybody for being here on this show. Remember that you can always find us at the 26O. That's an O, no zeros in the 26O.
The O, baby. I got the O tonight.
Right here.
A name spoken with pride in the 260. Mike Nutter, and we are the 260.
Great show.
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We are
Thanks, bro.
the 260, everybody. Again, Carroll Youth Program, a program spoken with pride in the 260. It's been an honor. And again, we are the 260.
Thank you very much again for being here with us. Follow us, send anything out, send some message. Let us know what you think season 2 needs. What people do we need to go for? Is there a sport we left out? I know we got to touch a little bit of hockey today, but is there a sport that we left out? Is there somebody who needs that highlight that we're talking about? But thank you very much for me, Matt, and Dave, and everybody else behind the scenes. We really appreciate you being here. You, me, us, and them, we are the 260.